Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Rags to Riches Transgender Edition. Essentially with this one, the typical Rags to Riches Sims challenge. We're going to be doing that with an added bonus of a bunch of complications that go along with having a trans sim. So I've developed these rules and I put them in the description below. A lot of them, to be honest with you, are following stereotypes of what transition looks like and such. But we're going to be going with this in order to make sure that it's as difficult as I could think of it being while still being fair. The idea here is that this sim is trying to live more of a stealth lifestyle after being kicked out of a transphobic household. So as I said, you can check out the description below for all the trans related rules to this. And otherwise, let's get started. So as of right now, I have just restarted my game. So it's a new one. You'll see like the classic Sims, just living amongst all the different cities and stuff like that. Because I really didn't want to lose out on my actual family I've been working really hard on. And then in terms of customization within the town, the only customized family that I have right now is going to be the doctor family. So essentially you'll see in the rules that there's a doctor sim that you have to make in order to build a relationship with him or her, in order to make sure that you can go through with the next steps of your transition. So for me personally, I built out this doctor sim. I made him a snob, I made him a genius, and I made him a loner. It doesn't really matter what traits you pick for the sim. For myself, I just chose something that I thought was stereotypical for this rich doctor, and then also made him a loner, so that way it was a little bit harder for me to actually complete the challenges of making him my friend. And then you'll see for the bottom surgery challenge, you essentially have to make the doctor move in with you for a period of time, and this is simulating the recovery time that you'd have. So essentially with this, because of that, I wanted to make a household that could like keep his all of his information or whatever, all of his funds, while he moved in between the two. So I made him actually a full family here. So I made him a wife that was just randomized. I made her a spellcaster because I just got the pack and I was just excited to see what came along with that. And then I just made her like the stereotypical like wealthy sim traits, whatever. And then I also made them a randomized sim child who turned out to be evil and also a spellcaster. And then I just added in a couple of pets for them. Just because I like seeing them around the town, to be honest. And then so for their household, the only thing that I customized inside of this house essentially was adding in the pet food dish because my brain needed to know that there was going to be food for these animals when I was making them. So that's it for the customizations that I have so far in every single one of the cities that's playable. So now I'm just going to go in and make my sim for this.
Go.
Okay, so our randomized sim is hot as hell. That's great. Good start. So I might actually keep a lot of this sim already, but essentially when you need to start this out, you have to start out with a more feminine sim, and then the idea is that you have to do hormones and everything like that. A lot of these rules are going to be very stereotypical, as a disclaimer, so obviously not everyone needs hormones, obviously not everybody's body is super feminine even before they do that type of stuff, but just bear with me through the stereotypes, and we'll get this challenge on the way. So you have to start your sim off with a name that you don't want to keep in order to actually have them complete the name change, and then have them have longer hair as well and things like that. Again, all below, but essentially like you'll be able to change these things within the change sim options as you start going through the process of getting hormones and your legal name change and all that type of stuff. So I'm just gonna save myself the dysphoria and just randomly choose a first name that's more feminine. And I'm not basing the sim off of me in any way, except for you'll see in the hormone section of this, you can base the progress of like when they can grow a beard, etc., around your own transition if you want to, or you can just use like a stereotypical chart from the internet, which will give you a breakdown of when these things typically happen to people. Alright, so for the first outfits, you're limited to feminine clothing, and then you have to do the whole paying to get men's clothing for the first time. So I'm just going to make this sim look a little bit awkward in terms of like wearing a hat to like cover up their hair a little bit more, and then I'm also just going to get them like a stereotypical baggy hoodie and stuff like that to wear. Okay, I actually don't hate this as a replacement to the baggy hoodie because I'm having a hard time locating one. I mean, I still have to limit myself to the feminine clothing, but I think this intense night dress is a little bit much. Wow, I didn't realize this sim was so jacked. Okay, I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. Wow, that is quite the ensemble. That's great. That's perfect baby trans clothes. And then, yeah, so for hot weather, it doesn't really matter. So you're not allowed to wear your hot weather clothes until you... Oh my gosh, what is this? Okay, I'm keeping this. But you can't wear your hot weather clothes until you've had top surgery. Okay, great. So this is going to be my Sims outfits. I didn't put a whole lot of effort into them because I would like to prioritize my Sim buying some masculine clothing to wear. So for now, this will be fine. And then for the aspiration, you can choose whatever you want, I would say, but I am going to go with the aspiration of fortune. Just because the idea here is rags to riches, of course, and I'll be doing the one for like money specifically. And then in terms of traits, I'm just going to pick a couple ones. I'm going to be stereotypical here and actually make my sim a vegetarian. I'm also going to make this sim paranoid, which I've never seen this one before, so I'm guessing it was with Strangeville since that's also a new pack for me. And I like that one because I think it kind of speaks more so to maybe some dysphoric thoughts. Granted, of course, it's very different because you're supposed to want to hang out in a basement and things like that. But I think for now it'll work for me in terms of mirroring maybe the idea of dysphoria. And then otherwise, for the last trait, just to maybe give myself a shot here, I'll do loves of outdoors, just knowing that we're going to be living in the outdoors for quite a little bit here. And then for an added bonus, I'm actually going to make a set of parents for this sim, and then the idea is going to be that the sim's going to get kicked out from the family household. And then I'm going to make the Sims relationship just completely horrible with them. And I'm going to make them elders. And so one of the goals here is going to be to make, to kind of repair the relationship with the parents by the end of their life cycle. I think I'm going to do just like a standard life cycle for the Sims in this. And then, of course, that's totally and completely optional, and obviously, like, people have different relationships with their parents, etc. My parents were totally great, but just for the means of this game, this challenge, I'm just gonna make them seem like very horrible transphobic parents, so here we go. Eyebrows are way too pretty for a transphobic dad. Just gonna make mom be really concerned about being popular, so that's kind of the idea behind her being a little bit transphobic here. She's also gonna be hot-headed. Let's make her a perfectionist as well, and I'll make her neat. What's that under this one? Okay, so that's going to be our family. So I'm actually going to move them in somewhere else. I know I want my sim to live in Brindleton Bay, but I want my sim's parents to live somewhere else, somewhere not as close. So let's just put them, I guess they can just be in a one-bedroom. Use this one. Just knowing that, of course, they're about to lose their child. Okay, great. So as of right now, the friendship level is pretty rough with dad over here, and then we're also just gonna make it bad with the mom, whose name I think is Dana. Oh, that's not fully yet. And then perfect. Oh, now we have a bad reputation, which I mean isn't the worst thing. I guess it'll just add to the transphobia we're gonna experience in this world. So now let's give mom and dad a couple jobs. I'm going to make dad let's make him in the military, and then we're going to make mom a politician. These are two jobs that I'm just associating again with them being like way too concerned about their reputation, and therefore I'm adding to their whole transphobia. And now it's time for our sim to be kicked out into the real world. Unfortunately, we are going to have to start out with a couple $1,000 in order to be able to buy the lot. Okay, great. And of course, it is raining as well. So step number 1 is going to be making our money 0. And then from here, the only limitations that I gave, which were actually going to be a little bit difficult. Oh, we're already playing in the rain. Nice. So for this sim, as of right now, we're not allowed to get a job. In order to get a job, we actually have to, we can only do a part-time one before college, which is going to be difficult because I'm actually waiting for Discovery University in the mail, so that's going to be determined on that. But also the requirements I put was that we need to have our name changed. We need to have a writing skill of level 7. So in theory, we're writing a resume with this, and we need to have all men's clothing, and then I put some costing for the men's clothing, and then $60 for a part-time uniform, and then we also have to pay for a men's haircut. And then we have to have a house for a mailing address in order to actually get signed up. So there's a lot of things that we need to do before we can get this part-time job. And then starting things off here, I think my priority is probably gonna be just to collect some things and get my name change done, and then also we'll look to do some hormone stuff as well. Um, so here we go. And that's it for the very first episode of Rags to Riches Transgender Edition. Moving into the next episode, that's when we'll focus on actually starting a garden and collecting some things in order to make some money and start working towards getting a better relationship with the doctor and hopefully get a name change going.